Yeah, so I am standing between you and the end of the conference, so I'll try to make it quick. I just want to quite quickly show you something that we've seen on the internet. Was this a BGP hijack or the beginning of one? It could be, but you tell me. That's why I have a question mark at the end here. I'm happy to get your comments. My email address is on the slides there, so I'm happy to take any comments. I'm sure that most of you will be leaving right after this. But look me up if you have any comments to this. First, I'm going to. This is going to be a bit more technical than some of the other presentations that we've had. So I hope you can still manage, even though it's late in the afternoon. First, I'll just quickly try to show you and explain what happened, and then we'll dive into why that matters. It was actually our upstream IP transit provider that we have a very, very good cooperation with. Maybe you can guess who that that alerted us to this, that some of their customers showed up as having an AS set looking like this. So this is AS 59580. I have no idea who that is, and certainly they have an AS set referencing their own AS number and AS 3301, which is the Telia AS number. And what would those two be doing in the same AS set, I wonder? So we looked them up, and they are, well, apparently in Russia. So I'm sorry, but do we know each other? I don't know why. So we dig a bit deeper, and they're clearly presenting this to AS 1299 as they want to announce this to the world, and apparently they want to announce that AS 3301 is behind this peering session. But no, certainly it's not. So looking a bit deeper, they specified their country as Russia, but there's a street address there that is somewhere in Tehran in Iran. So I have no idea who this is. So, but then again, why does this even matter? So basically, an AS set, as the one I just showed you, is just a list of ASs, and that list can theoretically, and in the rules of RPSL, which is the language that is being used, it can be used for anything. It can be ASs that are present at my IXP, or ASs that were present at the social last night that I had interactions with, or that I discussed with, or pretty much any semantics that you want can be represented as a set of AS numbers, in this case in the RIPE database. But most commonly, they're used as, this is the set of AS numbers that I will be announcing to my upstream provider, and upstream providers will then in turn take that AS set and use it to do filtering of the BGP session of their customers. And what I'm showing you here is an example of some education material that Manas has built that shows you how this is done and why this is done and why this is a good best common practice of how you filter your customers. So what happens then if this random network somewhere we don't know in the world includes my ASN in their AS set? Well, then what happens is that it usually the IP transit filtering works like this, that on your left-hand side you have the proper Telia network that has an upstream link to some tier 1 provider. On your right-hand side, you have the attacker, in this case I choose to call it, that will then pretend to be announcing Telia's AS number, including some of Telia's IP addresses. And because currently the RPKI framework allows only for ROA, which is route origin authorization, the only thing that is verified by RPKI at the moment is the route origin. And in this case, since they can just take any router that they have on the shelf and put in our AS number on that router, then they can quite easily spoof our AS number as well, and then the route origin is actually valid, and the spoofed IP at BGP announcement is marked as ROA valid in the RPKI framework, and everyone validating for that. So what should come to our rescue here is the usual RPSL-based filtering that I just showed you is the best common practice for all IP transit providers, that you do filtering on your customers to make sure that they don't announce anything that they shouldn't do. ROA valid ROA can protect against prefix hijacking, but accidental leaking of BGP announcements will be caught in these type of filters. So from my point of view, such an AS set that includes our AS number, which it shouldn't, can actually then be used as an injection to this filtering. And as I showed you on the top here, that is actually what these people were trying to do. They would actually announce everything in this AS set to AS 1299. And if they had not been vigilant enough to contact us and ask if this is correct, then that is what they would base their filtering on. And this spoofing of our AS number would be valid and accepted. And what would happen then in some tier 1 provider somewhere in the world, there would be an equal AS path length because you can count the bubbles here on how many ASs would be in the AS path. And they could hijack some of our traffic, theoretically or possibly. So I don't like this. I don't like this at all. So what can we actually do about such fraudulent AS sets? The very best thing we can do is to deploy ASPA. ASPA is the next next version of what we can do with RPKI. For now, we say we deploy RPKI. What we mean is we deploy route origin validation. But actually, the next way of using RPKI is autonomous system provider authorization. So basically, we try to announce to the world using signed RPKI messages who can validly be the upstream provider for us. Certainly not these guys. That's currently going through IETF. So if we were to deploy ASPA today, and more importantly, if all of the tier 1 providers would deploy ASPA today, then they would see this announcement that these guys are trying to make as, well, ROA is valid, but the ASPA is invalid because we are not authorizing this attacker AS number to act as an upstream provider for AS 3301, which is Telia. So why don't we just all deploy ASPA at the moment? Let me just take, before we go on, let me just take a quick poll of everyone who is still here, who has heard about ASPA. Oh yes, that's good. There are some. So why haven't you deployed it yet? Don't answer that because I will. It's still going through the rounds at the IETF, and I asked my friend Job Schneiders, who has been a co-author of these, to prepare this slide for me. And what he says is that they have been working as fast as they can in IETF for the past 7 years. So maybe it will soon be there. Basically, the components needed in ASPA is the documents describing how to encode the ASPA objects and how to apply them and so on. And the last hurdle that is still missing is how to actually get these RPKI objects into the routers and validate the ASPA. Hopefully that will go in working group last call very soon now. But there's already actually a lot of software supporting ASPA. Right now it's mainly some of the Unix or Linux based routing systems. What I heard is that Nokia had a comment that they had no requests for ASPA. So please, if they are still here out there, all of you who raised their hands, please go out and tell them that you need this, because, well, I'm here on stage because I need this, and I need this to be deployed on the internet as soon as possible. So I'm hoping that the Cisco's and the Junipers and the Nokias will implement this as soon as it's ready for my IETF. So please support me in that, asking your vendor about it. So then what can we do if we don't have ASPA quite yet, because the attackers aren't waiting around for us to spend years developing something? What I would suggest you do, and what we in Telia have started doing quite quickly, is to monitor in the IRRs who are using or referencing our AS numbers and our AS sets, the ones that we usually use to announce to our upstreams. And there are some online tools and methods that you can use for that. One of them is BGP tools. If you go to the Who Is tab and scroll all the way to the bottom, you will see that your AS number or this AS set that you're looking up is a member of the following AS set. Or you have NLNOG's IRR Explorer, where you basically can scroll down to the very bottom of all of this is for some reason hidden on the very bottom of the page, but for me this is the primary use case. We are monitoring who has objects in these databases, all of the IRR databases and all of the routing registries, that who has objects in there that references us, because we cannot rely on all tier 1 providers to be able to fact check that our AS number being in some random AS set is actually incorrect. But there's a problem with this, because we have many AS sets referencing our AS number, and they can each reference each other recursively. So what we do is we get a monitoring system to monitor this automatically, recursively. So we get this type of alert. Now AS3301 now appears in this AS set when it is being recursed, and then we get this recursion path of what are the AS sets that are included, and then we get a few alerts like this. And This is AS some 56890, AS DKIX Düsseldorf, and for sure Telia is not peering at DKIX in Düsseldorf, I can tell you that. But for some reason or another, we anyway turn up in this AS set named like this. And so, as I explained in the beginning, AS sets does not have a standard defined semantical meaning, meaning we usually use AS sets in the manner of this is what I route to my upstream and this is the ASs that are behind me, but they can be taken to mean anything. And here, for example, in both of these examples I'm showing you, what is referencing the Telia AS set is Peter IX, which is an internet exchange, so maybe they feel like they should be representing who is present on their internet exchange instead of who are their transit customers, as usual. And then at least somewhere along the line of this quite long recursion path, someone must have misunderstood something semantically about what this AS set is used for and why we are including this AS set in our own AS set. So my pray to you is please sanity check whenever you build an AS set or whenever you add a customer to your AS set or whatever you do. Please document in your AS set, there's a description field, what is this used for? If it's not used for what you will announce to your upstreams, then document then what is it. If you are connected to an internet exchange, think about if that is actually relevant to include in your AS set, or if you are an internet exchange such as Peter IX, please make sure that the internet exchange customers are aware of what you're doing with the AS sets and what are your thoughts about how to use them. Because this very, very loose semantics of the AS set, in my opinion, is what is causing this type of problem, that most basically any one of the AS sets in this path shown here would actually include our AS number. And tier 1 operators need to be very, very careful about what they then allow in the filtering that they have towards their customers. So in summary, be careful out there. The BGP is a dangerous place. ASPA is the right solution for this. It's not perfect, but until we have ASPA, please go make sure you monitor what is going on in the routing registries, because it's potentially dangerous, in my opinion. Thank you.
We have some time, so if there are any questions for Lasse.
Hello. Just not specifically for you, but for the rest of the audience, just want to say that IETF CIDR-OBS doesn't have enough operator participation in it. It should have more. If this is an area you're interested in, I highly encourage everybody to get involved in the IETF group that discusses this. I mean, ASPA is still being, run through and developed, and operator input is important, and I think it also sends a good signal to the vendors. And sometimes it's good that if someone actually says that this solves a problem and it should be done on time, so that time is prioritized. As you said, sometimes it takes a really long time to get stuff through the IETF.
Yes, I respect very much that the standards take time and they need to be right. And that's actually why I'm here, why I was 2 weeks ago at DKNOG doing the exact same thing, and why I will probably be talking about this in a few more conferences in places. So in the IETF, you can actually reference the whatever is online from this meeting and say there is operators who need this.
Just a small comment. They have done 21 drafts, which means almost, if it's 8 years, it's 3 drafts each year. It's a lot of things. And you have good people like Randy Bush, who was working for NTT. And I'm pretty sure they will do some good stuff. So just they are doing some good work.
I am not bashing on the IETF because I absolutely represent, I absolutely agree that standards do take time. So no bashing there, but as an operator, I cannot wait for years and years. I cannot even wait a month, I cannot even wait a week, because this is actually going on right now on the internet to my network. So I have to go here and tell, well, if I don't have ASPA yet, because it will take time, what else can I do? And that is monitoring your IRR until it's ready.
I'm sorry, I forgot. You did have Tehran, Russia, and some email address. Did you have any contact by email to them?
Yes, I sent them a quite stern email to the email address provided there, and they said, oh, that's a typo, and then they removed it. So, yeah, was that a typo? I don't know. I don't know what it was, but I mean, if you're going to try to covertly take over someone's AS number on the internet, maybe you don't put Russia and Tehran in your publicly available data. So what was that? I don't know.
Any more questions for Lasse? Okay. Right, well then please join me in thanking Lasse for a very good presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great job.